What better way to help your kids or grandkids learn about history than being at one of the locations, watching the reenactment of a Revolutionary War hero being celebrated? Don't miss this opportunity. Make plans to join me as Lafayette returns to Georgia History Today. Hit the subscribe button if you like this and want some more. And we have some other videos at the end you can choose from. We also have a couple of books in the description down below. So check them out. Thanks. How well do you remember your 6th grade history class? That's probably the last time you heard the name Marquise de Lafayette. You're not alone. Not only have Americans forgotten about Lafayette, they've forgotten the critical role that France held in the American Revolution. It's safe to say that without the French assistance, there would have been no independent United States in the 18th century. 2 towns in Georgia haven't forgotten this famous general, since they named their towns in remembrance of him. When the Revolutionary War hero Lafayette visited Georgia in 1825 on his national tour, he remarked the similarity of geography to his wife's property in France. LaGrange, Georgia, was founded in 1828, 3 years after, and was named after the country estate of Lafayette's wife in Paris. The small town of Chattooga in 1835, 10 years after, was the seat of the newly formed Walker County. Then in 1836, this changed its name to Lafayette. General Lafayette must have had a serious impression on the people of Georgia during his farewell tour through the state in 1825. Who was Marie Joseph Paul Yves Roche Gilbert du Monthier, Marquise de Lafayette? In 1768, Lafayette became an orphan at age 11, gaining a huge inheritance from his parents' estate. He was summoned to Paris to live with his grandmother and great-grandfather at their Luxembourg palace. The boy was sent to school at Collège de Plessis, part of the University of Paris. In May of 1771, he was barely 14 years old and was commissioned as an officer in the Musketeers, with the rank of lieutenant. His duties, which included marching in military parades and presenting himself to King Louis XV, were mostly ceremonial. He went on his studies as usual. In March of 1776, the American Committee on Secret Correspondence appointed Silas Deane, a former delegate to the Continental Congress, as a covert agent in France. Along with John Adams, Deane had been instrumental in the creation of America's Navy. On March 3rd, Deane set sail for France with instructions to pose as a Bermuda merchant dealing with goods from India. As he was tasked with making secret supply purchases and gaining covert assistance from the French. Through Deane's effort, the French agreed to provide military supplies, including cannons, ammunition, and tents, to the Continental Army. Just as significantly, Deane recruited French officers, including Marquise de Lafayette, to help train the Continental Army. This assistance was critical to the American effort against the British. The plan to send French officers, as well as other forms of aid, to America came to nothing when the British heard of it and threatened war. Yeah, you see, the British and the French didn't get along too well. Several high-ranking nobles convinced the French King Louis to issue a decree forbidding French officers from serving in America, and specifically naming Lafayette. Lafayette learned that the Continental Congress lacked the funds for his voyage, so he bought the ship Victoria with his own money. He journeyed to Bordeaux, where the Victoria was being prepared for her trip, loaded with guns and ammunition. The ship's captain intended to stop in the West Indies to sell some other cargo, but Lafayette feared for his arrest, so he purchased the cargo to avoid docking at the island. He landed in North Island near Georgetown, South Carolina in June of 1777. Upon his arrival, Lafayette met with Major Benjamin Hugar, a wealthy landowner, and stayed with him for a couple of weeks before departing to the revolutionary capital of Philadelphia. The Second Continental Congress, convened in Philadelphia, had been overwhelmed with French officers. Many of them couldn't even speak English and lacked military experience. Lafayette had learned some English en route and became fluent within a year of his arrival, and his Masonic membership opened many doors in Philadelphia. After Lafayette offered to serve without pay, Congress commissioned him as a Major General on July 31st of 1777. Lafayette's advocates, including the recently arrived American envoy to France, Benjamin Franklin, you may have heard of him, who by a letter urged Congress to accommodate this young Frenchman. General George Washington was Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army, came to Philadelphia to brief Congress on military affairs. Lafayette met him at a dinner on August 5th of 1777. According to a witness, the two men bonded almost immediately. Washington was impressed with the young man's enthusiasm and was inclined to think well of the fellow Mason. Lafayette was simply in awe of the commanding general. General Washington took the Frenchman to view his military camp. When Washington expressed embarrassment in the state of his troops, Lafayette responded, "I am here to learn, not to teach." Pardon my French. He became a member of Washington's staff, although confusion existed regarding his status. Congress regarded his commission as honorary, while he considered himself a full-fledged commander who would be given control of a division when Washington deemed him to be prepared. In the battles of Saratoga and Brandywine, both in 1777, Lafayette was instrumental. Lafayette's admiration for George Washington was shown when he returned to France in 1779 to request more French aid for the American war against the British. In December of 79, his wife, Adrienne, gave birth to their second son, who was named George Washington Lafayette. Lafayette's harassment campaign in Virginia in 1781 also provided Washington with vital intelligence on Cornwallis's movements. Lafayette commanded a small force of regulars supported by militia that harassed and occasionally blocked the intended movement of Cornwallis's much larger force, until Cornwallis was forced to settle into Yorktown and await the resupply, which never came. The Battle of Yorktown proved to be a decisive engagement of the American Revolution. The British surrender forecast the end of the British rule in the colonies and the birth of a new nation, the United States of America. After the war, General Lafayette returned to his home and family in France to eventually lead a revolution there. After the French Revolution, Lafayette came back to America in July of 1824 to September of 1825. The French Marquis de Lafayette was the last surviving Major General of the American Revolutionary War. He returned to make a tour of 24 of the United States of America. He was received by the populace with a hero's welcome and many stops, and many honors and monuments were presented to commemorate and memorialize his visit. This story is being replayed in America for the Bicentennial celebration in 2024 and 2025. This is a once-in-a-lifetime reenactment of the historic journey by this famous war hero. The tour has already started in the northern states, but will arrive in Georgia in March of 2025. All the locations Lafayette visited in Georgia are making plans now for these events. The draft plan has been published. For further updates, visit Lafayette200.org. Make plans to join me as Lafayette returns in Georgia history.